Hi everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters, and today we're going to be starting part 2 of our build of the LCM3 landing craft and some of the different vehicle options that we're going to put in and some of the figures, and then we'll start talking about doing the diorama. So let's get started. Okay, I've started painting up some of the figures for the crew of the LCM. I did the 2 machine gunners and then of course the driver. I haven't attached him down yet because I want to do a tiny bit more work on weathering him. I didn't want to go overboard on the weathering on the clothing as well too, because did a little bit of highlighting and things like that just to make him pop a little bit, but the uniforms are kind of boring. Okay, the next step that I want to talk to you guys about is what's going to go inside the landing craft down into the well down here. I have actually a couple of options. I have a built-up deuce and a half with a full pack in the back here, or supplies. Might weather that just slightly and put that in. The other option, and which I think I'm actually going to probably go ahead and do, is I took the M4A176 wet Sherman that we had, that was actually the Israeli one, and did a little modification on it just a little while ago. I actually cut the muzzle brake off and put the actual correct muzzle brake for World War II on. And what we're going to do is, I've taken off all the packs and stuff. We'll resand all that and clean all that off, repaint the entire vehicle, and then put some World War II decals on it, so we could actually put that in. Now the only problem with this is this vehicle right here did not actually see service in Normandy, because at the time the Allies did not want to have 2 types of ammunition going to shore. They wanted to keep everything uniform, so it was all 75mm. This was used in Operation Cobra out in the breakout of Normandy, so it might be kind of fictional if we put this one into it, but it is a pre-built Sherman, and I've built a lot of Shermans lately. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to repaint this right here. Okay, we're going to start off with XF62 Olive Drab from Tamiya to repaint this. And we might lighten it down a little bit with some dark yellow, but we're going to put this coat on first and see how it looks. Okay, I've completed the Sherman repaint. I've taken some decals, put some of the big white stars on and some of the insignia, repainted all the tools, and did some minor weathering on here. And I feel a little embarrassed. I actually had a video on all of that, and it was accidentally deleted off the camera before I uploaded it, so I apologize about that. But what I basically did was, to give you an once over, painted the whole thing XF62 Olive Drab from Tamiya. Let that dry, completely sealed it, put the decals on, sealed it again, and then what I went over with was with a little bit of NATO black and some of the high edges, and roughed them up a little bit. And then actually what I do after that is I take a little bit of 62, the Olive Drab, and mix it with a little bit of XF60, the dark yellow, made a lighter Olive Drab and kind of faded around all the different areas. And then the final thing that I did that makes it stick out a little bit is in this area, just lightly taking a little bit of the XF60 dark yellow and just dry brushing just slightly, and it blends nicely back into the Olive Drab, but leaves some nice highlights, so you can see some of the rough texture on the hull and things like that. So, and then back here, because it's supposed to be a Normandy Sherman, they weren't beat up too badly. I did notice in all the pictures that I saw that there was a lot of fuel stain marks in the back on all this, so just using a little bit of Vallejo pigments washes, excuse me, a dark brown and actually a green, and kind of blended them together right there to give it the look that it's the gas streaks that when they were pouring, they just spilt it all over the place. So there's the Sherman inside the LCM, and like I said, I know it's fictional. They weren't coming ashore on Normandy in the very beginning, but this is good. This could be D-Day plus 21 when they were finally starting to bring them ashore. I think it looks really good inside there, and I think the weathering is just enough, since it is supposed to be a fairly new Sherman going into combat for the first time. So let's get started now on the diorama. And one of the benefits of the spray foam is not only is it, the whole diorama is still very, very light, is that the spray foam actually acts like a glue too. So it's actually, although this was tacked down, it's like making a nice firm bond all the way around it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a like a razor saw, and we're going to start trimming the excess foam. Okay, I've finished most of the carving out right here, and the main thing I wanted to do is just keep it just below the surface of the retaining wall here. And yeah, I banged it up a few times here, but we can go back and fix that with black paint. Then the next step, what we're going to do is going to use the plaster that's going to fill in all this and smooth it out. So don't worry about any of these big gaps. The plaster cloth that we're going to use and all that will take care of all that. Also, I skinned it all the way down to the bottom here with the foam. That's why I left that little gap. What we're going to do in that is we're going to measure the actual ship inside there to see how far and low it is, and then we'll use cardboard underneath it before we seal it in with the plaster to get a good height on it. So let's go ahead and take care of that now. I've gone ahead and I've stuffed cardboard underneath the entire model right here to give us an idea of where we want the plaster to actually form. The water line in the back, where there actually will be water, will be about midway through, just about maybe halfway through the buoy right there, maybe even a little lower than that. That buoy's kind of high, or bumper, excuse me. So you can see what we're doing there. So that is what we need to do. So now we need to fill in all of that stuff before we put our plaster cloth down next, because we want this to be taut, and then we'll fill in all this other area with the plaster. We're also going to plaster all this area where the water is, because we're going to use water on it, but we're going to airbrush the plaster some greens and blues to give it an effect of water and have some depth to it. Okay, we let the plaster cloth dry overnight, and it's formed a nice hard surface. After we did that, I went ahead and put the lightweight hydrocal and mixed up a slurry of that, filled in all the little gaps. I actually need to do a few more little ones right up here. And also we want to keep a little bit of a reservoir back here, which I'm going to have to file out a little bit of this. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to use the Realistic water from Woodland Scenics. It's a liquid product. Self-leveling, works really well for water. After we get a nice dye job on all the plaster underneath there and you put this on, really gives it a nice depth effect for the water. The other nice thing about using lightweight hydrocal and the foam that we did underneath all this is this diorama is extremely light. Weighs very, very little at all, easy to transport, easy to mess around with. Plus I also like using the black borders on the wooden frame. I think it adds a nice finished off effect for it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to actually post this video because I've got more of the water on order and some of the dyes, and they won't be here for a few days, and rather than postponing putting out another video for you guys, and I'm actually going to start another model kit in between because I'm in no rush to do this, to finish this off. I want to do it right. So I appreciate you watching the video, and stay tuned because we have more videos coming. Thank you.